have much to talk about, but
that's fine.
So are you recording or?
Yep, now we're live.
Okay. So first of all, let me apologize. Bob the Builder is playing in the background.
No worries.
So I'm talking about DOM, and I'm not super comfortable with DOM yet, but I made an effort to. I actually have my own code this time. I'm pretty excited about that. So, my page, you can enter a number, and it will make some cat pictures for you, and then you can get rid of the cats. So I have my code over here. Can you guys read that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So basically it is creating a new instance of an image, and then it's running a loop. The number of times that the user input, whatever number the user inputs, it runs the loop that many times and puts that many pictures on the page. There's two cats. But so Dom, I think, was it Timothy that taught this the first time?
Yeah.
Sounds right.
So he did a really good job of explaining like the general idea of the children and the nodes. I'll kind of so you can look at all of the different nodes in your DOM, and DOM is basically just your document, and then each element within your document they're all objects, and so you can open up your divs and stuff and see all the child elements. And so what this code does is let's move this down. So it actually goes into the source of the picture, and you set this up here. You set this as the source. This image is the cat PNG. So I took some inspiration from Michael. I know you're probably looking at my cats and feeling concerned that I took inspiration from you, Michael, but I wasn't really sure what to do to demonstrate DOM, and I don't know if he's going to accept this, but this is what he's getting. You're just appending new child elements within this div up here, your cat condo. So that's my code. The one thing that I did want to mention, I was pretty excited because I don't feel super comfortable with using the console, and so that's one thing that I learned. So I just wanted to kind of, I'm sure you guys already know this, but some different things you can do within the console to interact with your DOM and to get feedback from your code. So console.log, everyone knows that one. Console dot your directory. You can if I could type, I could. So this directory, I learned that instead of using console.log, if you do the console.directory, it actually pulls up more information about the elements that you're examining. So it has all of the, your siblings and stuff. So the next one that I learned about, console.info. And this is just similar to console.log. And so you can input this into your script to debug or to have something pop up in your console at a certain point during your your program. Console.warn. If you notice, it pops up with your little the yellow warning symbol, so you can put that into your code if you're looking for some sort of return in your code. It would print this to the console. Next one is console.error. And it comes up with the red X saying this is an error. Let's see. Console.time. I thought this one was pretty cool, because if you're trying to test the loading time of a certain element on your page, or your script or something, you could actually run a console.time, and then you'd finish it with a console.time end, and you'd have a value, some identifier here. And the identifier in the console.time and the console.time end has to be the same, so that it matches up the two pieces and ends your loop. Yeah, I think that's all I've got. Do you guys have any suggestions or comments or anything to add?
No.
Sorry, I happened to mute myself because my dog is flipping out. So I'm here and I'm listening, but I'm going to mute myself again.
This was actually really good for me to teach this, because I had to learn a few more things than I probably would have otherwise. And you guys probably didn't learn anything from me, but you got to see my cat pictures. And eventually, because he's wanting us to be like more interactive with CSS, so I'm gonna have like some error pop up if they try to put a number that doesn't fall within that range. I don't know. Okay.
Looks good. I think he will accept it, and he'll probably give you some good proficiency in it too. So looks good.
Okay, well.
All right, who's next? I forgot to do mine for this week, so we'll have to figure out another time when I can do it. But, I forget who else was going to go today.
I was.
Okay, cool.
So interesting story. I am doing Ajax, but I don't have a lot that I felt would be good for me to bring up that we haven't already talked about. So let me bring up my limited code that I have for Ajax. Okay. There we go. So this is pretty much what I made after we went over Ajax last time. Is I set up a basic Ajax request to get a JSON file that I have also hosted on my server. And it does really basic stuff. It parses the JSON and pretty much just prints out a single line of text based on the returned JSON. So first of all, I guess, was there anything that anybody wanted to ask about Ajax? Does anybody have any questions?
So Ajax is basically just to get the JSON files from somewhere and import them into your page. Is that?
That is a large use of it, yeah. So Ajax is asynchronous JavaScript and XML. which JavaScript by itself is normally single-threaded. You can only do one thing at a time. So Ajax is kind of the way that we do things asynchronously. There are other ways to do asynchronous tasks with like callbacks and stuff. But this is like if you want to talk to the server and have it talk back to you without leaving your web page, without having to reload the web page. Because normally you would go to the server and it would redirect you to a new page or back to your page or something. And it would send back the data. This is going to do it behind the scenes. So invisible to the user, you're going to make a trip to the server and you can return a large number of data types. You don't have to grab a JSON file. You can have it ping an actual server, and the server will evaluate whatever data you give it and give you a response based on that data. I'm just doing basic JSON because as far as I know, we're not implementing like a server. So without some kind of like node server or something, I can't really think of anything more complex than just fetching files. So
that's my problem is I don't know how we're gonna, I mean, all I know is I can get stuff. I mean, you can make a JSON file on your in your GitHub.
right.
That's what I did for my Ajax, and that's pretty much how I'm getting.
Yeah, I mean,
So
there's not a whole lot. Like we're not doing backend, so
no, I don't think we are.
without the backend, Ajax is pretty simple. It gets a little more complicated when you have to deal with talking to an actual server, but since we're just grabbing files directly, it's pretty basic. You could grab like an image if you wanted to, or an HTML file. And I actually saw an interesting thing online about doing, it wasn't exactly Ajax, but they were dynamically loading in JavaScript files, which was kind of funny. So then you could introduce a new like asynchronous aspect to your JavaScript, but that's a whole nother topic. So one thing I did find that we could talk about if you guys want is it's brand new. So this stuff isn't really going to be browser compatible, and it might not work the way you think, even on Chrome. It's called the Fetch API. And so this is like new development that they're doing for JavaScript. It's going to be native to JavaScript, but it's going to turn all of this Ajax HTML, HTTP request stuff into this, the fetch. So what will happen is basically you call the fetch function, you pass it the URL where you want to go, and you can pass it a couple different options in here, but this is the most basic example. You pass it where you want to go, and then you use a promise, which is it's a special type of JavaScript function. And this promise is going to execute once the file is loaded in. And so I'm going to tell it to return the response that I want as JSON. And then I haven't finished writing it, but this is where I would do something with the response. So this is the future. It's a glimpse of the future. I wouldn't really rely on it too heavily because it's still in like heavy development. Like they're still fleshing out how they want it to work really. But it is something that will be probably more common in the next couple of years.
Very cool. Thanks for sharing that.
And if you've ever worked with like any of the other APIs like jQuery and stuff, Fetch API will seem similar. So, are there any questions about Ajax? Or I've only really read a little bit about Fetch, so I don't know a whole lot. I could talk more about promises and callbacks if we want. Those are like the advanced JavaScript functionality that you probably won't run into a lot unless you're using third-party APIs, which isn't really relevant for this class because we don't do any of that.
Yeah, I think it looks good. I noticed that I didn't switch over to your screen halfway through, so.
It's okay, here, I'll give it a shot.
But
This
we
is
got the fetch, so,
yeah,
and I got that part, yeah. So
that's good old plain regular Ajax.
nice, nice.
Except ignore this. This doesn't work because I didn't
Okay.
right.
Is that a land expression? Or no, not yet. It's just a nice for each, like a one line for each.
Yeah. So this is new. This is rather new too. But you can do.
You can do
For
that
each.
C#, which is really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. We can't use it at work, unfortunately, because it's not compatible with Windows or IE 8.
Oh, really?
So annoying.
Oh, Windows. And
Yeah, good old Internet Explorer.
again, yep.
Since you're talking about Internet Explorer, have you found issues with things working with Edge?
Not personally, because I don't really even look at Edge. But I mean, I could take a look at what I usually do if I'm wondering about compatibility for anything. I just look it up on Mozilla Developer Network and go down to browser compatibility. And Edge is pretty on point with most of the stuff. I think they implement one of the main versions of JavaScript, which is Web. I think they do WebKit. I'm not sure.
We were having problems as a user because some of their, as we're replacing computers, they're coming in with Windows 10, so then they have Edge on it, and we've just as users had issues. So that's just what made me ask. Thankfully, it's not me yet. I will keep my old computer for now.
Yeah, I mean, people can always use, like, you have the old version of Windows available in Windows 10, or I mean, sorry, the old version of Internet Explorer, but they don't make it obvious to you. You have to go looking for it. So.
Right, and that's some of the problems we're having. And then,
right,
yeah, I won't get into our IS department, but I finally had to tell them, can you put Chrome on? It was a Surface Pro or something like that, and I'm like, they need Chrome then so they can do this. You know, they said, well, you didn't ask us for Chrome. I'm like, oh, come on, just put Chrome on it for me.
right.
So we're like, we just want to do our jobs.
Yeah, it's interesting. The software I'm developing right now, we officially support Chrome and Internet Explorer. We don't actually officially support Edge, which I thought was funny.
Yeah, especially with new software.
But it's fine because our clients are all government, and none of them are on Windows 10. So.
But see, I'm a government employee, so it's coming because we can't order computers now from Dell without 10. So it's changing. We used to have administrator rights, which was crazy to begin with, but we're losing them as we get 10. So it's a big drama thing right now.
Oh man.
They want to take our USB drives away too, so our little thumb drives.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Security policies.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everybody good then? Sure.
Yep.
Yes,
Sweet.
thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm just going to stop the broadcast real quick.